The conversation started with why you wouldn't wear a sexy costume because of the idea of being taken seriously.
For me, it's like, no, I'm not going to dress sexy because I want to be smart. I want to have earned something without getting attention that way. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing if you want to do that or that's what it is. But in this world of women wanting to wear sexy costumes, I was like, no. Like, I just felt myself being like, no, not doing it. Hey, pod people. Welcome to this special episode of Why Do People Do That? As you can guess, it is Halloween.
Ooh. My scary sound.
So we decided we would just have an extra bonus fun episode where we ask a bunch of why do people do that questions
Halloween related
to Halloween. And our first question is, what is Heather?
What am I?
What is Heather?
It makes more sense standing up. Maybe we'll do a still picture later.
Some idea what they call it anymore.
Is she a gypsy? Is she a pirate? Is she a fortune teller?
A fortune teller. The fact that you don't know is just...
I mean, it's got lots of possibilities.
It was fun.
Okay.
For Minnie.
A Minnie Mouse. I think that was obvious. Okay. So,
Costumes.
we're going to start with why do people dress up for Halloween? And I promise this is going in a funner direction than this, but we're going to start with the history because where the history started and where we've morphed into is really super interesting, believe it or not. So,
I don't believe it. So tell me about it.
I'm going to read it because it's not my area of expertise. So if I try and just tell you without reading it, I'm going to screw it up. So here is the history of why we dress up for Halloween. Okay, so the tradition of wearing Halloween costumes has its roots in ancient Celtic festivals.
Irish.
I don't even know what that means. I guess so. Particularly the Samhain festival. During this time, people believed that the boundary between the living and the dead was thin. What does that mean? They dressed up in costumes to avoid being recognized by the spirits.
Oh, so you wouldn't get killed?
I don't know. Like, what would happen if a spirit recognized you?
They would take you. Dead. You that thin.
Is that a thing? Anyway, this practice was meant to blend in with otherworldly beings believed to roam the earth. As Christianity spread, the focus shifted to religious themes, but the spirit of creativity and self-expression remained. Today, Halloween costumes are a way to celebrate the holiday, often reflecting personal interests, fears, and creativity. So, the reason I find this interesting,
Tell me.
is because the reality is we're all dressing up for Halloween every year, right? This is just like what we do from the time that we are little peanuts, right? I mean, I had my son in a Halloween costume in the hospital before I even brought him home. I bought it for him before I gave birth, right? He was a pea pod. He has no idea that he was a pea pod, just like my daughter has no idea that she was Cinderella when she was 5 minutes old. But we dress up ourselves and our children as, whatever we decide to dress them up as every year. But we have no idea where it comes from, which is fascinating. That we kind of just dive into this ritual of doing.
It's a tradition. It's just what you do.
It's just what you do, which is really, I think, the part that's fascinating for me. So I did a little research into what is the purpose of rituals for us? Why do we do these things? Why do we enjoy the ritual? Like, if you really just think about Halloween, think about your childhood. Think about what Halloween has been for you throughout the years. And there's so much emotion, I think, that's attached to it, right? I remember being a kid and coming up with the idea of what I was going to be. And it would be this reflection of what I was into and my identity and what was interesting to me. And it was an opportunity to really kind of make a statement and say, I really dig Michael Jackson, so I'm going to be Michael Jackson for Halloween this year.
It
Or
was expression. Yeah.
yeah,
Creativity.
I think what else is really cool about it is, aside from the self-expression and the individuality and the opportunity to kind of just be able to be something that means something to you for that day, especially for the kids. I think even more so for the kids than the adults. I think a lot more self-expression and individuality goes into the Halloween costumes that the children choose as opposed to the adults. What is
Expression. Going to be getting up for your, and everyone is like the same K-pop person. Everyone is Iron Man. That is that individuality. I mean, yes, you chose Iron Man, but there's 37 of them.
Doesn't matter. You still chose Iron Man. Like when I think about my kids when they were little and what went into the planning of what they were going to be for Halloween, they were so excited about it. And it kind of reminds me of our Star Wars episode, when we talked about like fandom
And cosplay.
and
Yep.
cosplay. And so, when my kids were little, it was like I remember my daughter wanting to be Miley Cyrus, not Miley Cyrus, but the
Hannah Montana.
Hannah Montana.
Yep.
Yes. Wanting to be Hannah Montana, and my son wanting to be, Anakin Skywalker or Spider-Man, or, whatever the superhero was of the year that he was like obsessed with. I mean, I can even think about when my daughter was in high school and she was like so into the movie It, and she wanted to be one of the kids from the movie It, and she like run through this whole, process of like figuring out what her costume was going to be and getting the right t-shirt and the right jeans and making this fake cast and writing love on it and writing it the right way. And she did it over a couple of times. And, it was, I think, like it was this opportunity to really just plan it out, think about it, be excited about it, and let the world know, like, hey, I really jive with this character. I really resonate with this movie, show, whatever it is, right? Whether it be Star Wars or Harry Potter or, Hannah Montana, whatever it was. My kids were so excited every year to pick, and they put so much thought and planning into it.
Wasn't just the Party City prefab costume.
No, my kids never just like went to Party City and like, let me just stare at the wall and pick something. That's like what happens later on when we become adults and we lose sight of that excitement of like, ooh, I get to like express myself as this, right? I'm just going to look at pictures of a bunch of costumes and just pick the one that's just blah, jumps out at me. I think that the magic of it for a lot of the kids, and I'm not going to say there's no adults that do that. I think some adults really use the opportunity
Oh, absolutely.
to express something that is meaningful to them.
Mm-hmm.
But regardless of your age, I think that's the magic of it, right? Using that opportunity to have an excuse for this day to just dress up as. And it's, socially acceptable to dress up as and just be this other being and express what is important to you, or to just be funny or be different. But I think what's really cool about it is that we're all collectively doing it all together, right? The entire country, everywhere, no matter whether you're in Kentucky or New York.
There are certain religions that don't allow for kind of pagan. But other than them, yes, everyone across the country
Yes.
is
There is this
dressing.
collective togetherness that I think there is so much healing in, especially at a time when you do see a lot of divide and polarization and a lot of not togetherness, right? So it's like it doesn't matter really whether you are this race or that race or this gender or that gender or a Democrat or a Republican. We all celebrate Halloween, I guess, except for the Jehovah's Witness, maybe, or the Mormons. I'm not sure. Certain religions won't celebrate it.
And I'm just thinking, train of thought here, politics. And a couple of years ago, I went as Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Yeah.
And my husband was not happy. That became the whole thing. But what was so interesting that people asked if I was David from Creek. Like, he was so worried about that people were going to have like a response to like me being Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And nope. There's a black and white sweater of David, but
Do you have a picture?
I do.
I need to understand why he thought you were David from Schitt's
He
Creek.
didn't. He knew I was RBG.
Yeah.
RBG.
Yeah, that's correct.
I'm thinking Roy G. Biv.
But
What's
like,
happening?
that's a rainbow. But I mean, they look nothing alike at all.
We'll post the picture.
We have to post the picture, and everyone needs to see this. I need to see this.
Sorry, you were talking politics and the idea that Halloween brings us together.
Yeah, it's just this collective group think, right? That we all are the same. We're all just people that like to celebrate Halloween. We
And
like
get dressed up.
get dressed up and express ourselves and get our candy and go to parties. And we don't know why we're doing it, clearly, right? We have no idea where it comes from. But I think what's really cool, the beautiful thing is it doesn't matter where it comes from. Because
Except to you who had to look it up.
I looked it up for the podcast. But I'll tell you, if we weren't doing this podcast about like why do we dress
You would
up
have
for
continued to
Halloween,
exist without having
I
any
never
idea.
would have looked it up because it didn't matter,
Mhm.
right? It's just what we do, right? Like it's October, it's time for Halloween, and like just think about the rituals that surround all the holidays, right? We have so many little cultural things
Yep.
that we do that we all do together as a group. And I think just the togetherness of the custom and the culture, the togetherness of the ritual is the predictability of it, the feeling of control that comes from it. We know what to expect. We know what we're supposed to do. We're all doing it. There's something about that is soothing and feels comfortable and feels safe.
Yeah.
And that's neat. We need that right now.
We do.
We're really struggling
Why can't we all just get dressed up
every day.
and get candy? It's super cool to knock on people's doors and they give you candy.
You know what? That's weird too. What does that have to do with the holiday? Where did that come from?
That's what
How do we collect? Why do we knock on doors and get? Isn't that fascinating? Like we learn that we're not supposed to take candy from a stranger.
except this one day a year.
But on Halloween, it's okay.
Do you remember in the 70s they were talking like there was like razor blades in it and like people were putting drugs in candy? Like who's parting with their drugs and putting it in candy?
And like, why? Talk about why do people do that? You know what's funny? I'm glad you brought that up. This is what's fascinating is I remember one year, it must have been in the 80s, some lunatic was like sticking a pen in candy and like poisoning it or something like that. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And so it was like, there was like all this like news like about like how like, make sure your candy's safe, look for pinholes, which is crazy. And like, that was happening. Like that was a real thing. But we all went trick-or-treating and ate candy anyway.
Yep.
I wasn't allowed to eat the candy. So
That does not surprise me that your mother would die.
I was not allowed to eat the candy. So I went as far as to get a costume and get all dressed up and go. I went trick-or-treating with my friends in the neighborhood and we all went door to door. I knocked on doors. I said trick or treat. They threw candy in my big stupid pumpkin. And then I went home and my mother threw all the candy away.
Oh, God, that's heartbreaking.
Yeah. And my mother, instead of giving out candy,
Oh, no.
she was that mom who would like take like a roll of pennies
Oh, no.
and wrap it up in tinfoil.
Your house didn't get egged?
It might have.
No one wants that house.
I remember getting toilet papered one year.
But that was a good thing.
Getting toilet papered?
Yes.
Okay. Let's talk about that, but not right this second. Let's put a pin in that.
Like the
No
candy.
pun intended. So my mother would wrap up like dimes and nickels and pennies and whatever in tinfoil so it like looked like a Hershey Kiss, but it wasn't.
Oh, God, that's disappointing.
And kids would come and she would throw it and I would be like so embarrassed. And I'm like, Mom, nobody wants that. And she's like, why wouldn't people want money? I'm like, because she's supposed to get candy. People want, what are they going to do with like 5 pennies?
You can't eat 9 cents.
What are you doing with 5 cents? Right? It's not 1912. 5 cents isn't getting you very far. But my mother just thought like, I'm like, but we're not poisoning the candy. Like, we're not sticking pins in candy and poisoning it. We can give out candy. And she's like, well, what's the point of giving out candy if no one's going to eat it? And I'm like, I think everyone else is eating it.
Everyone's eating it except you.
for me. But that's how important the ritual was, that even though I wasn't allowed to eat the candy, I still got dressed up and went door to door and said trick or treat and got my candy to throw in the garbage.
That's really blasphemy.
It was really a little bit traumatizing, but it was some lunatic sticking a pin in candy and poisoning people.
I'm just
Don't
thinking,
get any ideas, people.
I'm just thinking how far Halloween costumes have gone. Like, I have a picture of me, like, from the 70s, and it's a mask with the elastic, and, like, you would breathe in it, and it would get sweaty.
It was disgusting.
And it was like a plastic, like, shirt thing that, like, had a tie behind the neck and a tie, and, like, I was like
Yeah.
a horrifying clown. That was, like, the first one I remember, and it was, like and every kid had some version of that in the late 70s. Like, that's what costumes were.
Yeah. I remember that. And then I remember like the first year that I wasn't that, I decided to be a punk rocker one year. And I was all excited about it. And I like spray painted my hair blue and put like a bandana on and like ripped my jeans. And I was just like not wearing a plastic thing on my face that made my face sweat.
The only ones I consciously remember, because I had the mother who made Halloween costumes. Like, we couldn't go out and buy them. Like, she used to sew, and she was creative, and she would make them, and I was a dice, which was wildly uncomfortable, because I was essentially wearing, like, a refrigerator box that was cut and painted. Like, you couldn't bend your arms. I don't know what that was about.
Did you ask to be a dice? Or was that
Bruh.
was just like given to you? You were told you were a dice.
I mean, I had to have signed on to it, because I wouldn't have worn it if I was, but I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was Sandy from Grease. I was very into Grease. Me and Jackie were Sandy. I had the saddle shoes. I had a poodle skirt. Yeah, I loved that. Those are the only ones I really remember being.
But you remember being really excited about being Sandy from Grease?
Oh, yes.
Like you got to be Sandy.
Yes,
From Grease, right? Isn't that it's like that's like so cool?
it was.
Yeah.
Those are the only costumes I really remember.
Mm-hmm. I remember one year my daughter, I think she was in 6th grade, and this is like really interesting because I guess this is to talk about the culture of it and how important the costume is. So in middle school, you know, the kids tend to group together, this group and this group and this group. And so I think they probably still do this. But the groups create costume choices together.
Oh, yes.
That's when you start to lose your individuality. Right? You can know once you're in middle school, the days of just like, you know, being, you know, Han Solo because you really love Han Solo is over. Now your group that you're in decides together collectively what you're going to be. And you don't get to be an individual anymore and say, I'm going to be this. It sort of like morphs back into that once you kind of like get out of the adolescent years. Right? It's like when you're a kid, you get to be an individual. And then when you're an adolescent, you need to be part of that like groupthink mentality. And you have to, you know.
Is that just a girl thing?
No, I remember my son doing that too.
Okay.
Yeah, they had like, this is what we're going to be. And then like they get into their 20s and then they go back to like, I'm just going to be what I want.
Mhm.
And like, that's what we get to do as adults. Like you decided to be whatever you are. And I decided to
Ouch.
be Mickey Mouse.
Ouch.
What?
Stop making fun of
Fortune
my
teller.
Yes.
You decided to be a fortune teller.
Yes.
And I'm Minnie Mouse. But I remember this one year. It was so crazy what went on. So my daughter and her friends were sitting at lunch one day and they were like, let's talk about what we're going to be for Halloween. And it was probably like September. And there was such an argument about what they were going to be that it turned into this wild fight. Not like beating each other up fight, but like
Argument.
arguing, calling each other names, being mean to each other, putting each other down. That my daughter had so much anxiety going to school because what was going to happen at lunch when everybody was fighting about Halloween. And I was like, really? And my daughter's like, I'm just going to be whatever they tell me to be. I don't care. I just want them to stop fighting. And she was having so much anxiety about the fighting over what was going to happen for Halloween. And this became so toxic that they couldn't even go trick-or-treating together because they couldn't agree on what they were all going to be as a group collectively. And it fractured the entire friend group over what they were going to be for Halloween. So like, I think like 3 of them ended up being this and 3 of them ended up being that. And then they ended up not trick-or-treating together.
And that's the beginning of the end.
And that's the beginning of the end. It was like, it was so insane. It was so toxic. And
Girl drama is
it is really hard. But like just that whole idea of like, if we're a friend group, we all have to be the same thing. And I think what was happening was like one of the kids was like, well, I don't want to be that, so I'll just be this. And then the other girls were like, but you're part of our friend group.
Yeah, you have to be that.
So you have to be, well, I think they were all going to be an app. Like one was going to be like Instagram and one was going to be Facebook and one was like, they were all going to be like a different app. And so one of the kids was like, I don't want to be an app. I want to be a whatever. I don't remember what she wanted to be.
You know
It
what she
doesn't
wanted
matter.
to be? She wanted to be a fortune teller.
You know what she actually wanted to be? No joke. Minnie Mouse.
Damn it.
I'm not even lying. So she was Minnie Mouse for Halloween. My daughter ended up trick-or-treating with her, and my daughter ended up being Venus, like a goddess or something. She just had like some weird blue dress or something like that. And then the other friend was something else. So the 3 of them were 3, like it was like rebellion.
Yeah.
We're not going to be told what to be. We're going to just be whatever we want.
And they're not even going to be the same thing.
They were 3 different things. And then the other 3 girls were apps. And it was like the rebellion was just being an individual, which you're not allowed to be in middle school.
No.
You're not allowed. And
My
then
daughter's friends last year were all sexy Disney princesses. And my daughter was Batgirl.
yeah, that's not a princess.
No.
She rebelled.
That was also me. Like, I'm not buying her a $90 sexy Disney princess costume. Like, we found a Batgirl that like looked nice on her and she felt good about it. And that's what she was.
So she was okay with the fact that she wasn't going to
Yes.
be with the and they didn't disown her as a
Nope.
friend.
I have a picture of all the Disney princesses
And Batgirl.
Batgirl. Yep.
Good for her.
Yeah.
Not that she had a choice,
Nope.
but good for her. She went with it. So speaking of which, sexy princesses.
Oh, yes.
So this episode is brought to you by Heather, who called me the other day and said,
Why do girls have to dress sexy for Halloween?
yeah,
I might have said slutty, but we're not going to be slut shaming. So
I
we're going to.
think you might have used the W word, but
Ooh,
it's okay.
okay.
You went beyond the S
Ooh.
word. Why do girls have to dress like beep for Halloween?
Can't say whores.
I guess you can.
It was all in good fun.
It was
But
just
the
Heather being
idea
funny.
of when Halloween became about being sexy. And, you know, you can't look at Halloween costumes without like, there's no longer like a nurse. It's a sexy nurse. There's no, you know, you can't find a doctor or a police officer. It's a sexy cop and a sexy doctor. Like we were talking in the car, like you can be a sexy banana. There's absolutely no reason to be sexy vegetables.
Right.
It's not a real thing. It's like a yellow leotard with like your boobs hanging out. Like it's not a costume. It's just an excuse for yellow boobs. Like there's no reason for it.
Vegetables aren't sexy.
They're not. But
Neither
according
are
to
fruit.
Yandy, they are.
Yep.
I was Googling it. It's Halloween adult costumes is like a $17 billion like enterprise. Like adults are spending an enormous amount, might be 17 billion. I've got notes, but an obscene amount of money on costumes, and women don't have choices.
Mm.
You can't find, conservative women's costumes.
Right. You can't just be a pickle. You have to be a sexy pickle.
Why you'd want to be either of those, but okay.
I'm gonna look for it. I bet you it exists.
Oh, I'm sure it does.
I'm sure there's
Yandy
this-
literally has everything.
A sexy pickle costume.
Yep.
So this is a very interesting topic. So we looked into this.
Yes. When did Halloween become sexy?
Yeah. So what'd you find?
I found that in the 60s during the feminist times
Mhm.
when hemlines were getting shorter and people started burning bras and feminism became really a thing, coincided with the time of Stonewall and the gay rights movement and all of that was going on. So it was really essentially the Halloween parade in Manhattan where, the LGBTQ community kind of used that day to really kind of play around with, gender fluidity and, wearing what they wanted. There was cross-dressing. There was, I remember going one year, there was a guy in duct tape, which just looked awful to try to take off later, but and it was cold, but
Yeah.
it was just duct tape on him. So it was really an opportunity to dress kind of scantily and sexy. And that with, women kind of moving into dressing more sexy, and it just sort of exploded from there.
Yeah. It was like taking the shame away from it,
Mhm.
right? To say that I am sexy and I am going to use that power, right? I'm going to be in my power and I'm going to be sexy and you can't tell me that I can't be. And I guess it was freeing and something about the idea of Halloween and the Halloween costume and the meaning behind it that I guess became our meaning here in America, just to express yourself. It was a day of expression.
Yeah.
And it was important at that time to have that way of expressing oneself. What we have also found is it's shifted somewhat, right? So what does it mean today? Because it's really morphed into something different than it was in the 60s. In the 60s, it was, I'm going to express myself and I'm not going to be told that I have to edit who I am. I don't have to cover myself. I don't have to be ashamed of my, sex appeal or any of those
And it
things.
became kind of a rage against the patriarchy too, and women's roles and what they were supposed to be, and the male gaze and a lot of that. It was, I can take this opportunity and be who I want to be for me and rebel against those ideals and those kind of standards.
How does it feel now? What do you think is different about it today than the 60s? Because it doesn't feel like that's what it is anymore. It
No.
feels different.
No, I think it's still about expression. And I think it is, and I think there are two sides to it because I think women tend to wear and want to wear the sexy costume. Well, some women want to wear because they're wanting to express them. They're wanting to, they might not feel comfortable dressing provocatively or showing that side of themselves during the rest of the year. But here's this one day where I can kind of try out this different persona. I can be somebody else and, show more skin and kind of be this other person.
So something you said right there, I think, is really what the interesting part of it is. And I read a little bit about what you just said. There's definitely, I think today in our society today, there are women who do want to dress sexy or provocative or show more skin or whatever it is. And that's totally fine. But I think that they don't feel comfortable or safe. They feel ashamed or embarrassed or worried about what people are going to think.
Well, I think from other women, you worry about being slut-shamed.
Yeah.
And from men, you worry about just, you know,
Attracting the wrong attention.
yeah. Yep. That.
Yeah. So one of the things I read was that women get to, who was it that said it?
Oh, Lindsay Lohan.
Lindsay Lohan,
Oh.
right? It's the
It's the one day a year. Yep. You can dress like a slut and no other women can't say anything.
Right. I think that's really powerful
Mm-hmm.
because the reality is, if a woman does dress sexy or provocative, you do have people who are going to judge.
Yes.
And so there are women who definitely desire wanting to dress sexy and be provocative, but worry about what other women are going to think, which really brings me back to that big long speech from the Barbie movie.
Yep.
Right? That speech that I can't read without crying.
Yep. But to be sexy, but not too sexy. Yep.
Right. Because you don't want to, what is it, tarnish the sisterhood. You don't want to
Mhm.
make the other women mad, right? You don't want other women to be jealous or feel threatened by you. And so there is definitely this conflict, right? Where, we get this confusing message as women that we should express ourselves, that we should be exactly who we want to be and dress how we want to dress and be sexy if we want to be sexy and not be sexy if we don't want to be sexy, right? There is no have to, but yet there is.
Yeah.
Right? So what are we supposed to be? So Halloween's like the one day of the year
Mm-hmm. Where you
Where-
can, yep.
just be whatever and no one can say anything about it because it's not you. It's not really you. It's your
Your
costume.
Minnie Mouse, yep.
It's your costume. And so whatever you choose your costume to be is acceptable because it's acceptable to dress up and be something other than yourself, right?
Yeah.
So it's that one day a year where women get to kind of just say, what do I want to put out there to the world? What do I want to show everybody about myself?
Oh, your ass.
For those of you that didn't hear, Heather just said, I want to show my ass.
But what's funny, we'll keep going back to my gypsy costume, is that,
I thought you were a fortune teller.
yeah.
See, even you screwed it
I
up.
know. But this is a dress. And you'll see later when I stand up, it's not a dress. It's a shirt, but it's marketed as a dress.
It's
So
a
the
dress.
idea is that, like, your ass is completely hanging out of this.
It's supposed to be.
Yeah.
But that's what some women want.
Sexy fortune teller.
Sexy gypsy, sexy pirate, whatever
Not a pirate.
whatever Heather is. She's a sexy version of it.
It's the costume that fit me is what it is. I would have gone sexy correction officer, but it didn't fit me.
Why the corrections officer? Why did you want to pick that?
Again, so I have a bunch of costumes in my house. My mother was very into Halloween. So, and my daughter used to go to like multiple Halloween parties and like have to have costume changes. So like we would just kind of get them. Like you see them on the marketplace, like you find them. So like you would just sort of, pick up whatever it wasn't like, oh, I have this deep-seated need to be a correction officer. It was just like, hey, it was, someone in Wanto was selling it for $5. Like, great, grab it, throw it in the box. And like,
Right.
someday someone will need it and will be able to wear it. But that someone wasn't.
Maybe next year.
And to wish I gain weight. And
Is that why
fill
it
out.
doesn't fit?
Yes,
I mean, maybe you can just like take it in.
perhaps.
Maybe you can find a different one. Find a smaller one.
Yeah,
If you really want to be a corrections officer,
I
you should-
don't. I really don't. It was just that I happen to have that. Like, and I actually, what's funny that you keep calling me a pirate, I do have a pirate. And I have a sexy referee, which also is like a shirt, but it has a whistle. So, and knee socks. So I've got a box of these random sexy costumes that I've never actually worn anywhere. Like
Mhm.
I wore Minnie to work, like with leggings and a shirt under it. Like I've worn the referee with leggings and like I've never actually worn them sexy as sexy costume. But my daughter wore this as like a regular size human dress when she was like 8. So she was a gypsy.
That's funny.
It is.
Fortune teller. You don't even know what you are.
I don't.
So getting back to the whole sexy thing, it feels like It's morphed into it's become this whole life of its own.
Yes.
I feel like now, like, what do you think came first? Like you said that like it's become this like, multi-million dollar industry. Costumes, and that if you try to look for women's costumes, they're all sexy, no matter what you want to be. Even if you want to be a banana, you have to be a sexy banana.
Yep.
So, do you think that's what the costumes are because that's what the women want to be? That this is what women are demanding and they want to have sexy costumes? Or do you think that women are dressing in sexy costumes because that's what is being advertised to us and put in front of us? And so we think that's what the expectation is that we're supposed to meet. And therefore, we have to have sexy costumes because I'll tell you, just seeing what rolls in on social media on Halloween, and I'm looking at all of the costumes everyone's wearing, especially the younger people, like, people my daughter's age, people that she's friends with or that she was friends with and whatnot. She's now 22. I mean, like last year on Halloween, I was just like scrolling and looking, and I was like, they're wearing underwear.
Yeah.
Like they're literally wearing like it's like a teddy
Mhm.
with ears. Like they're wearing lingerie.
My
It's not a
boss,
costume.
my boss's niece, every year he will send me a picture of his niece who has an amazing body and is absolutely beautiful, and she's probably 20 something. But every year there's less and less clothing, and it is lingerie, like with a hat. Like it's ridiculous.
Right. It's like I'm gonna wear a bra and underwear
And a hat.
with a hat, and so that makes me a cowgirl because I'm wearing a cowgirl hat. Like that's not a costume, that's a hat
And lingerie.
and lingerie, right? That's not. So what's going on? What do you think is going on?
I think it's both things. I think, people are buying them because they want to kind of try out that persona of being able to be and feel and look sexy. But I do think it's also society and like marketing, and that's kind of what's available.
Mm-hmm. It's probably also, I know I always go back to this and I blame everything on social media, but I definitely think that plays a role. I think that like,
All the other girls are wearing lingerie.
yeah, everyone sees what everyone else is doing. And it goes right back to that middle school mentality
Mhm.
of like, how much of an individual do I want to be versus how much do I want to fit in with what everyone else is doing? And I think that there is comfort in we're all in it together. We're all doing the same thing. I'm a part of something bigger than me, like we were talking about earlier, which is part of the reason why Halloween feels good because we're all doing it. We're all in it. We're all celebrating Halloween. We're all getting dressed up. We're all knocking on doors. We're all doing the same thing on October 31st, all together. And there's something really healing and comforting in that. It feels predictable. It feels
And it's fun.
together
It's
and
fun.
It's all
And there's candy.
it's chocolate. I love the candy corn, by the way.
You like candy
I
corn?
love the candy corn.
You were the one oh, ugh. That's no.
Lara likes it too. So there's the two of us that like candy corn. We can't be the only people because they sell it everywhere.
Oh,
Anyway, that was a tangent. Um,
but an important one. How
So-
in this many years did I not know that you liked candy corn?
you never asked.
Because I assumed no one liked it. Okay, go on.
Surprise.
Go on.
So anyway, kumbaya, we're all together. It feels good. It feels so good that we're all together. We're doing this fun activity, right? It's a break for the monotony, but we're all together and it's predictable. It's soothing. It's very soothing. It feels good. All positive stuff, right? Releases dopamine in our brains. We all feel rewarded. We feel nice. But I think that social media has sort of like tarnished the individuality of it. And it's brought us back into that middle school mentality of we all have to be doing something the same, right? So if you're, a, 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 identifying as a woman and it's Halloween, what are all the women wearing for Halloween? If you're identifying as a man and you're during Halloween, what are all the guys dressing up as? Like there's trending things. And it is trending now
To wear lingerie as a
to
costume.
wear lingerie and a hat or ears or whatever, right? It is trending to be as sexy as you possibly can be. It's almost become like a contest.
And I think, the whole sexy costume thing, I mean, if girls and women are doing it because they want to and want to feel good about themselves in that, that outfit that they chose, that's one thing. And that's a
Mhm.
really positive, body positive self-image thing. But if they're doing it because all of the other girls are going as, sexy nurse, sexy doctor, sexy,
Banana.
construction worker, yep, then that's that's really a negative. That's not a positive thing.
Right, because being forced into it instead of being able to say, what resonates for me and what expresses what I am or who I am, um, it's not really a good experience because now you're forced into, I have to be the sexy princess because everyone's being the sexy princess,
Mhm.
right? And so what's interesting, what I find for myself is I don't want to wear a sexy costume. I don't know that I ever have worn one.
Yeah, I don't think I've worn one. Although that cowboy one, that cowgirl you had was sexy. You had a Batgirl too.
I don't know that I ever actually wore that.
Okay.
I had it,
Yep.
but I don't think I ever was it.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I have all of these costumes, but I've never gone out and like actually worn them like without leggings as a dress as intended.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't wear lingerie.
No.
No, I mean, even my cowgirl was still like a skirt and a shirt.
Yeah. I think we're old too.
We are old.
So there's that. I mean, 20, 30 years ago, I wonder if we would have been rocking the lingerie with the hat.
I think I would have
I would not.
in my 20s.
I never had lingerie and hat body.
Oh, no, I would never have worn lingerie.
With a hat?
I mean, there were times in my life I could have that goes up and down. Um, but I mean, I think that for me personally, I think that I have issue. I think I'm a little like here's what's interesting is we talk about feminism and how the need to be sexy was feminism.
Mhm.
For me, it's the opposite, right? I almost because I'm feminist, I almost go against the need to be sexy or the want to be sexy. I
Well,
almost don't want to be
just
because I want to kind of push off the male gaze.
Mhm.
I don't want it. I'm like, no, thank you. Right.
And
That's my experience, though. That's just me.
yeah, and I think there's a big difference between, the 60s and 70s when that kind of started, that whole
Mhm.
feminist movement. But I think, I mean, you can make the argument now for, I'm gonna wear what I want and what I feel good in and forget, the patriarchy and the male gaze, all of that. Like I'm doing this for me because I feel good about myself when I wear them.
Yeah. But I think, for me, I'm stuck in that. Even if I wanted to wear something and I feel good in it, or I think I look good in it, or it represents who I am, and even if it feels sexy and it feels good, I think I wouldn't wear it because of the patriarchy and the male gaze. Right. For me, it's almost like I express myself by not
Rebelling against that, yeah.
rebelling against that. That's just my personal experience. That's why it's so interesting that I see I wonder, am I the only one? Does other women feel this way too? I'm not gonna dress like that because who is that for,
Mhm.
really?
Is it for men? And I think that's an important thing too. Like, are you doing it for the attention you're getting from men? Because I think a lot of girls and women out there are doing that, or are you doing it because you want to express yourself and feel good about that?
A lot of people do that.
That's what we're talking about.
Yeah. It's really interesting because that's just my personal experience. For me, it's no, I'm not giving into that. When I was talking to you about what are we gonna be, and you were showing me what costumes you had, I picked this one. This is Heather's costume, not mine. I
From
didn't
the
have
box of
I
costumes.
didn't have a costume to wear,
I
but Heather's got a whole box.
I do.
I picked the one that was the least sexy.
I have a nun costume. really could have rocked that.
You didn't show it to
I
me.
didn't, because that is a whole other
That might have
podcast, I
really
think.
is it sexy now?
No, it's not.
Fascinating. See,
Mm.
there you go.
Well, this was my mother's. She has Raggedy Ann also. She is a nurse, but it's a legit, it's Scrubs, because she was a nurse,
But
so it
she's
really
in
wasn't a
yeah.
costume. But, it was never a sexy nurse.
Mhm.
It was just nurse.
Okay. So I think it's just like for me, it's just like, no, I'm not gonna like so it's like I'm not really even allowing myself to say, well, what do I like? What resonates for me? What do I feel good in? It's like I'm not getting into that.
And even that, like, wearing a tank top under it. Like, I'm not gonna have boob hanging out.
No. Nope. No boob hanging out.
I, too, have worn that with tank top.
Yeah. Right. So I could, but I won't. Right. Which is so interesting. So, you know where I think it comes from for me? I'm just like thinking. So it's all coming to me. So I'm just going to say
Tell
it.
me.
Because here we are. I think where it comes from for me, being a woman in business, I have come across, being in business, you come across a lot of men because it's just the way it is. Um, I've had some interesting experiences being a woman in business. And so not to get too into it because that's a whole other podcast.
And I guess just to be taken seriously.
It's very hard to be taken seriously, and you have to be taken seriously because business is serious.
Mhm.
You're sometimes really talking about very important things, right? Again, without getting into too much detail, um, just to give you an example of what I'm talking about, I'll
I
tell you.
remember you going to rent space.
Yes.
And them asking you and your partner, like, when Mark was coming.
So this is what happened. Perfect example of what I'm talking about. So my partner, Larissa, who owns Long Island Counseling with me, our lease was coming due, and we decided to move into a different space instead of renewing our lease because the parking situation wasn't great. We wanted to find a building with a better parking lot. So we went to look at this space, and there was another agency in this space that we wanted to rent. And we have our big practice, so we needed a big space, big build out, was going to cost a lot of money, the whole 9 yards. And so they said, well, these people want to break their lease early and leave, but they have 2 years left on their lease. We can give you their space. And so we were like, well, that's great, but what guarantee do we have that they're leaving, right? Like we have a big business that we need to shift from this location to that location. And if this doesn't go smooth, we have hundreds of patients that are going to not be able to come for
need
their
care,
appointments
yeah.
and therapists that aren't going to be able to show up for work. This needs to be a smooth transition. We can't have time without space. So we have to know for sure that this agency is really going to leave and give up their lease early. So how can we be guaranteed that this is going to be a smooth transition, especially since the agency in there is a government agency and there's all sorts of red tape. It's not as simple as just like the owner's going to be like, yeah, we're going to move out.
Mhm.
And the landlord and the realtor, who are both men, looked at Larissa and I and said, you ladies are being a little too emotional about this. Is there a world where they would have said that to a man?
No.
I'm convinced that there isn't.
No.
And we weren't being emotional. And we weren't saying it in some sort of hysterical way. We weren't like, but what's going to happen? And then we started crying. It was very just like,
It was a legitimate, actual, realistic concern.
and the kicker is that's actually what happened. We were going to take the space and we're going back and forth with the lease. And I was just like, I need something in writing that says that this other agency is leaving. And then finally they came back to me and said, it's not going to work out. Like you said, there's too much red tape for them to be able to just
pick up and move.
It's a government, they get grants and funding and, it's very nuanced. And I was like, oh, I thought it was just being emotional. Like, what? I've had situations like another example. I went to a networking event with my husband, and I was sitting with a group of men at this networking event, and I was talking about my business, not Mark's business, my business. And so I was telling these men who were talking to me about my business, and they were looking at Mark, and they were talking to Mark, and they would ask Mark a question about my business. And then I would answer the question, and then they would say something else looking at Mark, and Mark kept saying, "It's her practice. It's her practice. It's not my practice. It's her practice." And what's interesting is even, a couple of years ago, a few of my own clinicians that work for me said something to me like, "Oh, instead of renting space, you should look into buying a building, and the rent must be so much here. Maybe Mark can buy a building." And I'm like, "Mark can buy? Like, why would Mark buy a building? And I'm like, I wonder if they think that like Mark gave me the money to start my business, or that I have this business because Mark helped me, which I
Is
mean,
why now
God bless him. I love my husband. He's very supportive, but like none of that happened. Did not give me money to start my business. He cannot buy a building. Like the business is what Larissa and I have built, right? 2 women,
Yeah.
right? With vaginas, built a business.
Which started, well, the business didn't start, but the conversation started with why you wouldn't wear a sexy costume because of the idea of being taken seriously.
Yes. So that's really what it's all about.
Sorry, circling you back.
Right.
You dropped the vagina word, so
So-
we're circling back.
You said ass and whore, so I can say vagina.
Damn.
This is a really interesting podcast.
You brought up a sexy pickle.
I feel like that's the most ridiculous thing. I mean, a sexy banana is kind of ridiculous too. Any fruit or vegetable that's
And they're so
sexy.
phallic too, which is a whole other thing.
Maybe that's why they should be sexy. I don't know. Maybe eating a banana is
But you know what's
sexy, but
weird?
dressing up is one.
There's no sexy men costume. Like there's like, the Tarzan maybe from like, the 70s. but,
Nobody
like,
wants to see that though.
No.
No, nobody wants to see the dude walking down the street as Tarzan.
And I will actually tell you that in my marketplace Halloween buying, I did buy an apron, and it's spaghetti and meatballs, but it's like a sausage and meatballs, but it is the
I get
sexy
it.
man costume. Yeah.
But who's wearing that?
Nobody. I had it for like a year, and I eventually had to get rid of it because
Nobody was gonna.
Nope.
Yeah, there's no way John was gonna wear.
No. No
There's
way.
no way. No.
I made a great costume for him one year, actually, and this is a sexy man costume, but he rebelled against it and didn't do it. I saw it on Pinterest, and I took foam board and I blew up. The bottom of it was a calendar, and it was like, the 30 days, and the top of it was like sexy fireman picture,
Mhm.
but you sort of wore it over your shoulder, so it was his face, like with the sexy fireman body, and then like the flap of the calendar thing. Thought it was the greatest thing, worked really hard about it. I was like, this was like when Pinterest first came out, and like I was like, yeah, this is the greatest thing ever. And he's like, I'm not fucking wearing that. Like, come on, dude. Like, hot fireman. Like, no. Like, and it's not even a costume. It's not even making him dress. Like, you string it on for a minute, take a picture, and take it off. Like, there's no face makeup. There's no like weird outfit. No, wouldn't do it.
Yeah, no, I didn't see him wearing that. Mark wouldn't do that either.
Yeah.
No. But it's just not what's trending. Not the thing.
But sexy men costumes have never been a thing.
No.
Like, it's just not popular.
Well, because they don't have to rebel and express themselves because patriarchy, right? They can just be whatever they want to be anyway. They don't have to.
And there's
Do
generally
that.
very little effort in men's costumes. I mean, unless you're like talking like, Comic-Con type of like costumes. Like most dudes go into a costume party. I'm just thinking kind of college guys. Like they'll write something stupid on a dirty t-shirt they pulled from the laundry, and like that's it.
You know who spends a lot of time on their costumes? Who's a man?
Your ex-husband.
My ex-husband.
And you saw that
Oh
coming.
my God. He is so into it.
But he's also kind of like a Comic-Con dude.
Yeah.
Like he's very into that whole world. So and he just spends money on anything too. So, and how he looks would be important. He does have a Twizzler tracksuit.
Superman.
Sorry.
A Superman tracksuit.
Twizzler socks.
Twizzlers. Kit Kat socks. A Twizzler hat. Whatever. Doesn't matter. But yeah, there are but he never wore a sexy costume.
I wonder if anyone's going to find this as interesting as you and I do.
You can post pictures.
I'd have to.
Anyway, getting back to what I was saying.
Which was the patriarchy, not wanting to show your boobs so someone will rent you a building.
Yes, pretty much. But that's just it. I don't want them to rent me a building because I showed my boobs. Right? I want to be taken seriously. Right? So for me, it's like, no, I'm not going to dress sexy because I want to be I want to be smart. I want to have earned something without getting attention that way. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing if you want to do that or that's what it is, but that's just my experience.
Yeah.
I guess. Right? Which is just like, I just found it interesting. I think that was my point. Like in this world of women wanting to wear sexy costumes, I was like, no. Like I just like felt myself being like, no, not doing it.
And, it would be interesting too, like if we were going to a party, like, would you feel, are you going to be the person who's in like the big giant bathrobe and like the not sexy if we're, all of us are wearing something sexy?
Well-
Although a bunch of sexy 50-year-olds is just doesn't sound like a party.
Hey, stop putting us down. We could be sexy if we want to. We just choose to be or
Yes.
not be. I don't think I would go to a total opposite direction. I wouldn't be like, I'm going to look as frumpy as possible. I don't, right? It's not all or nothing.
Yeah.
I'm just not wearing lingerie and a hat.
Nothing wrong with that.
Not doing it.
No.
But if you want to, that's okay.
And I think the reason we even started having this conversation is my daughter put something in our Amazon cart
Mhm.
and said, "Can I order my costume?" And it was literally a sailor hat and a tie around the neck and a blue teddy. Like it was lingerie.
Mhm.
It was even marketed as sexy lingerie nightgown. Like, and she's like, "But
It
it's
wasn't a sailor costume.
no
It was a nightgown that
Yeah.
she was going to use for her sailor costume.
with the hat."
Yeah.
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 And like she's told me I was being unreasonable. And then asked if my problem was the lace on the top. I'm like, no, my problem is that it's lingerie and you're 16 and that's not acceptable. Like,
But the problem is all the other 16-year-olds are wearing lingerie, right? Yeah. And they're all posting pictures of it, and then she feels left out. That's what's the hard part.
yeah. But there's a certain line I won't.
Right. Get a little dress or something like
Yep,
that.
that's what we did.
Yeah.
She can have a fitted, tight dress that's actually a dress for daytime, something to wear outside of the bed.
Not something you're wearing to sleep.
And like, yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Absolutely ridiculous. Which is, kind of what inspired us to do this. Like, why do women dress sexy? And I think what we've come up with is it's for different reasons.
Yeah. So this was all inspired by Heather's daughter wanting to wear lingerie for Halloween. So here we are
Yeah.
talking about why we do the things that we do on
Yeah.
Halloween. So I think the takeaway here, it's coming time to wrap up here. The takeaway is, I think, just the ritual, right? The togetherness, the
Mhm.
groupthink, the comfort in us all doing the same thing at the same time. But my challenge to you, pod people, this Halloween, if it's not too late, is think about what you really want to be. Think about what expresses who you are. If you were not going to do what everyone else was doing and wear what everyone else was wearing and being able to post the picture that collides with everyone else's picture, if you're really going to just be what you wanted to be and pick what resonates for you, what would that be? And if you're choosing not to wear that, why are you choosing not to? Right? Let's just learn a little bit.
Be the
About
bad girl in a
ourselves.
picture of sexy princesses.
Yeah. Do that.
But no, I think it is important to kind of express yourself and not to
Mhm.
wear the costume because everybody else is doing it. If you feel comfortable and you want to wear that because that's what you want, then do it. And I
Yeah.
think it can be really empowering for people to do that and to have that one day of the year where they feel like they can be another person.
Express what
Mhm.
this is a character that resonates for me. This is something that resonates for me, even if it's a banana, right? Be the damn banana if that banana resonates for you and it's going to feel good to be a banana, it doesn't matter, right? Like really express yourself and just join the rest of us, and let's all just be in it together and really just kind of like feel the warmth and the goodness of us all being the same in some way. Even though we're still being individuals, we're all celebrating Halloween,
Yep.
right? With all the polarization in society, we're all at our core just a bunch of kids that want to get some candy.
That's it. That's what it
Right?
comes down to.
So that's our Halloween episode. We
Happy
hope
Halloween.
hope you had fun. Any last thoughts?
No,
We said lots of bad words
I
today.
know.
It's okay.
We had to
Expressing
do it. Yeah,
ourselves.
it was fun.
All right. So thanks for joining us. Remember to subscribe wherever you are listening or watching so you can be reminded when other episodes come
drop.
out,
Yep.
because it helps us, it helps the podcast, and it helps you. We are on YouTube and Apple and Spotify and
iHeartRadio.
iHeartRadio and Amazon, wherever you would watch or listen to a podcast. And that's it.
That's
Right?
it. Yep.
I am Stacy,
And I'm Heather.
and we are
Why Do People Do That?
We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Why Do People Do That was recorded and produced by Press Record Studios.